The police station smelled of stale coffee and worn leather. Eniola sat in a grey room with nothing but a metal table, 2 chairs, and a mirror that wasn't really a mirror. Detective Trumpson entered, a heavy man in his 50s with tired eyes that had seen too many lies. "Mr. Eniola," he said, settling into the chair across from him. "Tell me about last night." Eniola's throat felt like sandpaper. "She came to my apartment around midnight. She wanted to see our daughter, Gracie." "And you let her in?" "Yes. She was crying. She said her bank accounts were frozen because of the fraud investigation." Trumpson wrote slowly, deliberately. "How long did she stay?" "Maybe 20 minutes. She held Gracie, then she left." "Did she say anything unusual? Threatening?" Eniola hesitated. He could still hear her words echoing in his mind. "You'll never have peace while I'm still breathing." But saying that out loud would make him look guilty, like he had motive. "She was upset," Eniola said carefully. "Emotional. But she didn't threaten anyone." Trumpson leaned back, studying him. "Mr. Eniola, we found prescription sleeping pills in her car. Empty bottle. And a note." Eniola's heart stopped. "What kind of note?" "It said, 'He took everything. Now I have nothing left.'" The detective's eyes never left Eniola's face. "Care to explain that?" "I didn't take anything from her," Eniola said, his voice rising. "The court gave me temporary custody because she was harassing me. Because she tried to ruin my job. I didn't do this to her." "Maybe not directly," Trumpson said. "But she clearly felt you did." There was a knock on the door. A younger officer poked her head in. "Detective, we need you outside." Trumpson stood. "Don't go anywhere, Mr. Eniola." As if he could. Alone in the room, Eniola pressed his palms to his eyes. This couldn't be happening. Elizabeth was manipulative, controlling, dangerous even, but he never wanted her dead. He never wanted any of this. The door opened again. This time it was Maya, his lawyer, her face tight with concern. "They're calling it a suicide attempt," she said quietly. "But Eniola, there's something else." His stomach dropped. "What?" "They found text messages on her phone. Messages she sent to someone else last night after she left your apartment." "To who?" Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. "To Ada." Eniola froze. Ada. Elizabeth's ex-partner, the ghost that haunted every argument, every jealous outburst. The man Eniola was never allowed to mention. "What did the messages say?" Eniola asked, barely breathing. Maya glanced toward the door, then back at him. "They said, 'I'm finishing what you started. If I can't have him, no one will.'" The room tilted. Eniola gripped the edge of the table. "Maya," he whispered, "what does that mean?" Before she could answer, Detective Trumpson returned, his face grim. "Mr. Eniola," he said slowly, "we need to talk about the implant they removed from your back 3 months ago." Eniola's blood turned to ice. "What about it?" Trumpson placed a folder on the table and opened it. Inside was a photo of a small metallic device, wires fanning out like roots. "Forensics just identified it," Trumpson said. "It wasn't medical. It was a tracker. Custom-made. And according to the serial number, it was registered to Elizabeth Ada Wallace Company 2 years ago." Eniola stared at the photo, his mind racing. She had put that inside him. She had been tracking him, monitoring him, controlling him from the inside out. "That's not all," Trumpson continued. "The doctor who implanted it? His name was Dr. Riccio Coro. He disappeared 6 months ago. His body was found last week in a storage unit. Eniola's mouth went dry. You think Lizabeth killed him? I think, Trumpson said carefully, that your wife was involved in something much darker than a custody battle. The detective leaned forward, his voice low and urgent. Mr. Eniola, if you know anything at all, you need to tell me now. Because whoever wanted that doctor dead might want you dead too. Eniola's phone buzzed in his pocket. The officer had returned it after checking it. He pulled it out with shaking hands. One new message. Unknown number. He opened it. She's not the one you should fear. I am. And I'm coming for Gracie. The message was signed with a single initial, A. Shai was pacing the apartment like a caged animal when Eniola finally returned home. Baby Gracie slept peacefully in her crib, unaware of the storm gathering around her. Bro, what did they say? Shai asked, his voice tight with worry. Eniola sank onto the couch, exhausted. Lizabeth tried to kill herself. Or someone wants us to think she did. She stopped pacing. What do you mean? Eniola pulled out his phone and showed him the message. She's not the one you should fear. I am. And I'm coming for Gracie. Shai's face darkened. Ada. That's what I'm thinking, Eniola said. But why now? Why threaten Gracie? Because Lizabeth told him everything, she said, sitting down heavily. Think about it. She's desperate, broke, losing custody. She probably reached out to her ex for help, and now he's taking matters into his own hands. Eniola rubbed his temples. The police found messages between them. She wrote something about finishing what he started. What does that even mean? I don't know, but Detective Trumpson thinks Lizabeth was involved in something darker. That implant they took out of me? It was registered to her company. And the doctor who put it in me was murdered. Shai's eyes widened. Murdered. Eniola nodded. Found in a storage unit. Trumpson thinks Lizabeth had him killed to cover her tracks. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The apartment felt smaller, the walls pressing in. We need to leave, Shai said finally. Tonight. Take Gracie and disappear. I can't run, Eniola said. The court will think I'm guilty. They'll never let me see Gracie again. Better that than dead, bro. Before Eniola could respond, there was a knock at the door. 3 sharp raps. Too confident, too deliberate. Both men froze. You expecting someone? Shai whispered. Eniola shook his head. Another knock. Louder this time. Eniola stood slowly and moved toward the door. Through the peephole, he saw a man in a dark coat, tall, broad-shouldered, face partially hidden by a baseball cap. Who is it? Eniola called out. Delivery, the man said. His voice was deep calm, almost too calm. I didn't order anything. It's from Lizabeth. Eniola's hand hovered over the lock. Every instinct screamed at him not to open that door. But if it really was from Lizabeth, if she had sent something before her suicide attempt, it might contain answers. Slowly, he unlocked the door and opened it just a crack, the chain still latched. The man smiled. Even through the narrow opening, Eniola could see it was a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Eniola Adewale? The man asked. Who are you? A friend of Lizabeth's. He held up a small brown package. She wanted you to have this. Said it was important. Eniola didn't take it. Leave it at the door. The man's smile faded. She said you'd be difficult. He glanced past Eniola into the apartment. Is the baby here? Shai appeared behind Eniola, phone already raised. I'm calling the police. The man's expression didn't change. He simply placed the package on the floor, straightened, and tipped his cap. Tell Gracie her Uncle Ada says hello. Then he turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing down the hallway. Eniola slammed the door and locked it, his heart hammering. Shai was already on the phone with the police, giving the address, describing the man. Eniola stared at the package sitting just beyond the door. Brown paper, no markings, roughly the size of a shoebox. Don't touch it, Shai warned. It could be a bomb. But Eniola's curiosity was stronger than his fear. He grabbed a kitchen towel, wrapped it around his hand, and carefully pulled the package inside. It was light. Too light to be dangerous. He set it on the table and slowly unwrapped it. Inside was a USB drive, a stack of photographs, and a handwritten note in Lizabeth's elegant script. The note read, Eniola, if you're reading this, I'm either dead or I've done something terrible. Either way, you need to know the truth. Ada didn't leave me. I paid him to leave. And the reason I needed him gone is on this drive. Watch it. Then decide if you still want to keep Gracie. Because what's inside her is worth more than both our lives. Elle. Eniola's hands trembled as he picked up the photographs. The first showed baby Gracie in the hospital, just hours old. Nothing unusual. The second showed a medical chart with her name on it. The blood work results were circled in red. Strange markers, codes he didn't recognize. The third photograph made his breath catch. It was an X-ray of Gracie's chest cavity. And there, near her tiny heart, was a small metallic object, exactly like the implant they had removed from Eniola's back. Oh God, Shai whispered, looking over his shoulder. They put one in the baby too. Eniola's vision blurred. His legs gave out, and he collapsed into the chair. Gracie. His innocent daughter. She had been carrying a device inside her body for over a year, and he'd had no idea. What is it tracking? Shai asked, his voice shaking. What's it doing to her? Eniola picked up the USB drive with trembling fingers. Only one way to find out. He plugged it into his laptop. A single video file appeared on the screen, dated 3 days ago. He clicked play. Lizabeth's face filled the screen. She looked haggard, her eyes red and swollen, her hair unkempt. She was sitting in a dark room, probably a hotel. Eniola, she began, her voice hoarse. If you're watching this, it means I failed. I tried to protect you, protect Gracie, but Ada is too powerful. He always was. She wiped her eyes and continued. The implants weren't just trackers. They're genetic modifiers. Ada worked for a biotech company that specializes in human enhancement. They were experimenting on people, trying to create, I don't even know how to say it, superhumans. Enhanced intelligence, strength, disease resistance. Eniola's blood ran cold. They needed test subjects, Lizabeth continued. Ada recruited me. Said we could make millions if I helped him find volunteers. But I didn't know he would use our family. He put one in you while you were asleep, paid off the doctor. And when Gracie was born. Her voice broke. He told me it was the only way to keep her safe. That the device would protect her, make her stronger. I believed him. God forgive me, I believed him. Tears streamed down her face. But then I found out what they really do. The implants aren't just enhancing people. They're controlling them. Ada can activate them remotely, make people do things, think things. He's been watching us this whole time, Eniola. Watching through our eyes. The screen went dark for a moment, then Lizabeth reappeared, closer to the camera now, her voice urgent. He's coming for Gracie. Not to hurt her, but to take her. She's the only child subject who survived the full integration. The company wants her back. They'll do anything to get her. She leaned even closer, her eyes wild. There's a surgeon in Montreal. Dr. Amara Chun. She's the only one who knows how to remove these things safely. I've sent her all the data. If you can get Gracie to her, she might have a chance. Lizabeth's face softened, and for a moment, she looked like the woman Eniola had fallen in love with years ago. I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything. I thought I was protecting us. But I was just making it worse. The video ended. Eniola sat in stunned silence, the weight of it all crashing down on him. His daughter had been experimented on. And somewhere out there, someone had the power to control her, to reach inside her mind and body and make her into something else. Shui's voice cut through the fog. Bro, we need to move. Now. But before Eniola could respond, his phone buzzed again. Another message. Same unknown number. Did you enjoy the video? Good. Now you understand what's at stake. Bring Gracie to the address below by midnight, or I activate her implant. You have 6 hours. Don't involve the police. Below the message was an address, a warehouse on the industrial east side of the city. Eniola looked at the crib where Gracie slept peacefully, unaware that she was a pawn in a game far more dangerous than custody battles or broken marriages. We can't give her to him, Eniola said quietly. Then what do we do? Eniola stood, his jaw set with determination. We find Dr. Chun. And we get that thing out of Gracie before Ada can use it. Shui grabbed his coat. Montreal is 6 hours away. We'll never make it in time. Then we don't have a choice, Eniola said, scooping Gracie gently from her crib. She stirred but didn't wake. We take the risk. They were halfway to the door when the lights went out. The entire apartment plunged into darkness. Gracie began to cry, a strange high-pitched wail that Eniola had never heard before. And then from somewhere in the blackness, a voice spoke. Cold. Mechanical. Coming from Gracie's direction. Hello, Daddy. Ada says it's time to come home. The lights flickered back on as suddenly as they'd gone out. Gracie's crying returned to normal, the eerie mechanical voice gone. But the terror remained, frozen in Eniola's veins. Did that just? Shui couldn't finish the sentence. Eniola held Gracie tighter, his heart racing. He activated it. Even for just a moment, Ada activated the implant. Then we're out of time. They grabbed essentials, diapers, formula, Eniola's laptop, and the USB drive. Shui emptied the emergency cash from the coffee can they kept hidden in the kitchen. $400. It would have to be enough. As they rushed down the apartment stairs, Eniola called Maya. I need you to tell Detective Trumpson something, he said breathlessly. Tell him Ada is after Gracie. Tell him about the implants. Show him the video on the USB drive if you have to. Eniola, where are you going? Maya's voice was sharp with concern. Montreal. There's a doctor who can help. The police will think you're running. I don't care what they think. My daughter's life is. A black SUV screeched around the corner, headlights blazing. The same vehicle that had been outside the motel weeks ago. Run. She shouted. They bolted toward Shui's old Honda parked at the side of the building. The SUV accelerated, trying to cut them off. Eniola threw himself into the passenger seat, clutching Gracie. Shui gunned the engine, tires squealing as they shot out of the parking lot. The SUV followed, close and aggressive. Who are these people? Shui yelled, swerving through traffic. Ada's people. The company's people. Does it matter? Shui took a hard right, then another, weaving through narrow residential streets. The SUV kept pace, relentless. Hold on. Shui warned. He yanked the wheel, jumping a curb and cutting through a park pathway. The SUV was too large, couldn't follow. By the time they emerged on the other side, they'd gained precious distance. 20 minutes later, they merged onto the highway heading east. The city lights faded behind them. Gracie had fallen back asleep, her small chest rising and falling peacefully. But Eniola couldn't stop checking her, searching for any sign that the implant was activating again. Maya's going to the police, Eniola said, checking his phone. She's telling them everything. Will they believe her? With the video? They have to. But as the miles stretched out, doubt crept in. What if the police thought the video was fake? What if they thought Eniola had made it all up to justify kidnapping his own daughter? His phone rang. Detective Trumpson. Eniola hesitated, then answered. Mr. Eniola, I need you to tell me where you are, Trumpson said. His voice was calm but firm. I'm taking my daughter somewhere safe. Running makes you look guilty. I don't care how it looks. Someone is trying to kill us. There was a pause. Your lawyer showed me the video. I've already sent units to find Ada Martins. But Eniola, if what Lizabeth said is true, you're in over your head. These aren't street criminals. This is organized, funded. Let us help you. Can you protect Gracie? Another pause, longer this time. I can't promise that. Not if they have the resources she described. Then I'm doing this my way. Eniola. He hung up. Shui glanced over. You think that was smart? I think I don't have any smart options left. They drove in silence for a while, the highway a dark ribbon unspooling ahead. Gracie stirred occasionally but stayed asleep. Eniola kept one hand on her, as if his touch alone could protect her from whatever was lurking inside her tiny body. Around 3 a.m., they stopped at a gas station in a small town near the Ontario-Quebec border. Shui filled the tank while Eniola went inside to grab coffee and snacks. The clerk, an older woman with tired eyes, barely looked up as he paid. Long drive? She asked, making conversation. Yeah. Family emergency. She nodded sympathetically. Safe travels. As Eniola turned to leave, a TV mounted in the corner caught his attention. The late-night news was playing. Breaking news in the case of businesswoman Lizabeth Adewale, who was found unconscious 3 days ago. Authorities have confirmed she is now awake and speaking with investigators. Sources say she has made shocking allegations about her estranged husband, Eniola Adewale, claiming he was involved in. Eniola's blood turned to ice. The screen cut to footage of Lizabeth in a hospital bed, her face pale but her eyes sharp and focused. She was talking to a reporter, her voice weak but clear. Eniola became obsessed, she said. He believed people were tracking him, controlling him. He kept saying our daughter was in danger. I tried to get him help, but he refused. And then he took Gracie and disappeared. The reporter's voice, are you saying your husband is mentally unstable? I'm saying my daughter is in danger, Lizabeth replied, tears welling up. And I just want her back safely. The screen returned to the news anchor. A warrant has been issued for Eniola Adewale's arrest. Authorities are asking anyone with information to. Eniola stumbled out of the gas station, his hands shaking. She looked up from pumping gas. What's wrong? Lizabeth. She's awake. And she's telling everyone I kidnapped Gracie. What? She's lying. Saying I'm crazy, that I made everything up. Eniola's voice cracked. Now there's a warrant out for me. She finished pumping, replaced the cap, and looked around nervously. We need to move. If she's awake and talking, Ada knows exactly what we're doing. They got back in the car and drove. Every set of headlights behind them felt like a threat. Every police car they passed made Eniola's heart stop. An hour from Montreal, Gracie woke up crying. Not the mechanical voice this time, just a normal, hungry cry. Eniola fed her a bottle, trying to keep his hands steady. Almost there, baby girl, he whispered. Almost there. But as they crossed into Quebec, Eniola's phone buzzed with a new message. Not from Ada this time. From an unknown number, but the area code was local to Montreal. Dr. Chen is expecting you. But you should know, Lizabeth called me an hour ago. She offered me $500,000 not to help you. I told her no. But someone else might say yes. Trust no one. The clinic address is below. Come to the back entrance. And hurry. Dr. Chen sent this? Shay asked, reading over his shoulder. I think so. Or it's a trap. Eniola looked down at Gracie, her small hand wrapped around his finger. Trap or not, he said quietly, it's the only chance we have. They followed the GPS to a medical building in downtown Montreal, old brick with narrow windows. At 5 a.m., the streets were mostly empty. They parked in a back alley and approached the rear entrance. A woman in scrubs waited by the door, her face hidden beneath a surgical mask. She waved them in quickly. You're Eniola? She asked in accented English. Yes. Are you Dr. Chen? She nodded. Come. We don't have much time. Inside, the clinic was small but clean. Medical equipment lined the walls. Dr. Chen led them to an examination room and gestured for Eniola to lay Gracie on the table. The implant is near her heart, Dr. Chen said, pulling up Gracie's medical records on a screen. It's more integrated than your wife described. Removing it will be complicated. Can you do it? Eniola asked. Yes. But there are risks. Eniola felt the world spinning. What are the chances she survives? Dr. Chen met his eyes. 60%. Maybe less. Shui put a hand on Eniola's shoulder. Bro, if we don't do this, Ada controls her forever. Eniola looked down at his daughter. She was playing with her toes, oblivious to the danger. Do it, he said. Dr. Chen nodded. I'll need 2 hours to prep. There's a waiting room down the hall. Try to rest. But rest was impossible. Eniola paced the small waiting room, watching the clock. Shui tried to distract him with old stories, memories of better times. It didn't work. At 6:30 a.m., the door burst open. Detective Trumpson stood there, flanked by 2 uniformed officers. Eniola Adewale, Trumpson said heavily. You're under arrest for parental kidnapping. Eniola's heart stopped. No. Please. She's in surgery. If you take me now. I don't have a choice, Trumpson said. There's a warrant. You know the truth. You saw the video. The video could be fabricated. Lizabeth Adewale is awake and giving a very different story. Until we sort this out, I have to take you in. She stepped forward. Then take me instead. Let him stay until the surgery is over. That's not how this works. Before Trumpson could move, an alarm shrieked through the building. Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the intercom, panicked. We have a problem. The implant is activating. I need Eniola here now. Eniola didn't wait for permission. He shoved past the officers and ran. Behind him, Trumpson shouted, but Eniola didn't stop. He burst into the operating room. Dr. Chen stood over Gracie, hands shaking. The monitors showed Gracie's heart rate spiking wildly. It's sending electrical pulses, Dr. Chen said. Almost there, Dr. Chen whispered. Then, with a final movement, she pulled something small and metallic from Gracie. The monitors stabilized. Gracie's crying filled the room, normal, human, alive. Dr. Chen held up the implant. It's out, she said, exhaling. Eniola collapsed against the wall, tears streaming down his face. But his relief was short-lived. Because at that moment, the lights went out again. And a voice, Adara's voice, spoke from the darkness. That was a mistake, Eniola. You just made this personal. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in red. Dr. Chen rushed, her hands moving with practiced speed despite the chaos. We need to get out of here, she said, appearing in the doorway. Trumpson's securing the building, but if Adara's people are already inside. The windows exploded inward. Glass rained down as three figures dressed in black tactical gear swung through on rappelling lines. They moved with military precision, weapons raised. Get down. Trumpson shouted from the hallway, drawing his service weapon. Gunfire erupted. Sharp, deafening. Eniola threw himself over Gracie, shielding her with his body. Dr. Chen ducked behind equipment. Shui hit the floor. One of the tactical officers went down. The other two returned fire, forcing the detective back into the hallway. The baby, one of the tactical officers shouted into his radio. Eniola's blood turned to ice. Back door. Dr. Chen yelled, pointing to an exit behind the surgical equipment. Eniola grabbed Gracie and ran. Shui was right behind him. They burst through the back door into a narrow service corridor. More footsteps echoed behind them. Shouting. The tactical team was pursuing. They crashed through a fire exit into the morning light. The sun was just rising, casting long shadows across the Montreal streets. A delivery truck was parked in the alley, engine running. Get in. Dr. Chen appeared beside them, her surgical mask gone. She'd followed them out. You're coming with us? Eniola asked. If I stay, they'll kill me for helping you. Now move. They climbed into the back of the truck. Dr. Chen slammed the doors shut and pounded on the wall. Drive. Now. The truck lurched forward. Through a small window, Eniola saw the tactical officers emerge from the building, raising their weapons. Bullets pinged off the truck's metal frame as they sped away. Inside the dark cargo hold, Eniola held Gracie close, checking her breathing, her heartbeat. She was stable. Alive. Where are we going? Shui asked Dr. Chen. Away from here, she said, breathing hard. Ada has people everywhere. Police, hospitals, government officials. We can't trust anyone. How do you know so much about him? Eniola asked. Dr. Chen's expression darkened. Because I used to work for the same company. Before I realized what they were really doing. The truck drove for what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 minutes. When it finally stopped, the back doors opened to reveal a warehouse interior, old, dusty, filled with abandoned machinery. A man stood waiting, late 60s, gray beard, wearing oil-stained coveralls. This is Marcel, Dr. Chen said. He's a friend. He'll hide us while I check on Gracie properly. Marcel nodded but said nothing. He gestured for them to follow him deeper into the warehouse. In a corner office that had been converted into a makeshift medical bay, Dr. Chen examined Gracie thoroughly. "She'll be okay," Dr. Chen said finally. "But we need to monitor her for the next 24 hours. Any complications from the implant removal could still arise." Eniola exhaled, relief flooding through him. "Thank you for everything." Dr. Chen looked at him seriously. "Don't thank me yet. Ada won't stop. The company invested millions in that research. Gracie was their proof of concept." "What purposes?" Shay asked. "Military applications, corporate espionage, political manipulation. Think about it. If you could control someone's thoughts, their actions, from anywhere in the world, what couldn't you do?" The implications made Eniola sick. "How many others are there?" he asked. "How many people have these implants?" Dr. Chen hesitated. "I don't know. Dozens, maybe hundreds. The program started 5 years ago. Most subjects don't even know they've been implanted. The devices are installed during routine surgeries, accidents, even cosmetic procedures." "And Elizabeth? Was she part of this willingly?" "I think she started that way," Dr. Chen said. "Ada probably convinced her it was revolutionary, that they'd make medical history. But somewhere along the line, she realized it was wrong. That's when she reached out to me." "When was that?" 6 months ago. She wanted to know if the implants could be removed safely. I told her yes, but it would be dangerous. She said she'd think about it." Dr. Chen's voice softened. "Then I didn't hear from her again until 3 days ago, when she sent me that video." Eniola's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You think you've won. If I can't have her, no one can. Watch the news. Turn on the TV," Eniola said urgently. Marcel found a dusty television in the corner and switched it on. The news was already playing. "Explosion at a medical clinic in downtown Montreal this morning. Authorities say 3 people were, including a detective from Toronto who was investigating a kidnapping case. The building has been completely destroyed. Arson investigators are on scene." Eniola's legs went weak. Trump's son. He was still in the building. The screen showed the clinic engulfed in flames, firefighters battling the blaze. "This is a message," Dr. Chen said quietly. "Ada is telling you he can reach anyone, anywhere." She stood up, pacing. "So what do? We can't run forever." "No," Eniola agreed. "We can't." An idea was forming in his mind. Dangerous. But maybe the only way out.